Good afternoon and welcome to week 6. This week, I think that you will be happy to find out that there will be no response, there will be no learning exercises, and there will be no readings from the textbook. The reason being is because I want you all to focus your time, all of your time, effort, and energy into finishing and revising your research paper. So, this week, I want you to use this opportunity to go back and review any of the readings from the textbook that relate to the research paper, the research argument that you might not have understood when we read it the first time. Also, I want you to go back and review the MLA section, which is the yellow section of your Norton Field Guide to Writing, if you have any specific questions on how to format your works cited page at the end of your paper. Like I said before, this week I want you to focus all of your time, efforts, and energy into writing your paper, revising your paper, and rewriting. Okay, remember we said writing is revision. I also would like you to spend a lot of your time, or more of your time this week, going on to ciphers. What I'm doing right now is replying to everyone's thesis statement on ciphers. So I'm going to give everyone individual feedback on their preliminary thesis statement for this paper. So make sure that you visit ciphers this week to find out what I have to say about your thesis statement. Also, I'm going to be posting other things on ciphers that, if you guys have specific questions about what is a good transitional phrase, or for example, what do you mean when you say attributive tag? How is the works cited page supposed to be formatted? I'm going to be posting some more of those links on ciphers as well. So basically the end goal for this week is to get you all to get your papers written and get your papers completed. So I just wanted to go over the timeline that we're working with and what we need to have in before the 27th of June. Now, as a reminder, our final paper is due the 27th of June before 5 o'clock, or 5 o'clock is the deadline. So I cannot accept any papers after 5 o'clock, and I have to be really strict on this one. Throughout the course of the semester, I've been receiving some papers late, I know, but I can't do this. I can't receive any late papers for this final paper because I have to have my grades turned into the registrar by the following Tuesday. Okay, so I have to be able to grade all of the papers, and not only grade all the papers, figure out your final grades and input those final grades in the online through the registrar. So I cannot accept anything that comes after the 27th. Now, if it becomes an issue about you finishing the class and not having your final paper in, and you need more time to finish your final paper, there is the option to take an incomplete for the class, in which you have the following semester to make up the work that you might have missed. Keep in mind, if you do take an incomplete for the course and you don't finish the work in the time allotted by the registrar's office, then you will get the grade that you have for that time period of the deadline. And most of the time, if you're missing a paper, that would be a failing grade. So, to clarify, the final paper for this class is due June 27th, no later than 5 p.m. You want to make sure that you send your paper to me as a Word document, and it needs to be attached in the email. You want to, on your subject heading, make sure that it says final research paper or researched argument. So I want to make sure that it's easily identifiable in my mailbox. Keep in mind that a few of you, when we've had issues about, vague subject headings, or you're not being specific on your subject headings, and maybe I've missed your paper, I've been able to contact you on the deadline, and you've been able to resend me that paper, we won't have the option to do that with this final paper. So you want to make sure that you are as clear and specific as possible in the subject heading. I prefer in the subject heading you put in bold words, final research paper or researched argument. So it's easy for me to correlate the email address to the actual paper. I can grade that and get that back to you as soon as possible. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is the rough drafts. Now again, I'm using this week as an opportunity for us to discuss our rough drafts. So a few of you have already sent me your rough drafts because I said that I was going to start accepting rough drafts on June 10th. This is great. Now I will be getting to those rough drafts this week. So if I'm getting to the first round of rough drafts this week, you want to keep in mind as you're doing your paper that you want to get me your rough draft as soon as possible. It takes me about a week and a half to get through 40 papers. So if all 40 of you send me a rough draft, you want to keep in mind that it's going to take some time for me to get through those and give you constructive feedback. So keep this in mind if you send me your rough draft on the 23rd, for example. I might already have 39 rough drafts to grade, and you might not get feedback from me until the 26th, okay? So you want to get your rough draft to me as soon as possible. Another thing that I want to make sure that you guys do is go to ciphers. Like I said before, is I'm giving individual feedback on your thesis statements. And remember, the thesis statement is the centralized statement of your paper. So you want to think to yourself, here's my thesis statement, and I'm going to use the literature or the research to back up my main position or my thesis statement. So everything basically revolves around that premise that you're making in your paper. So it is very important that you have a clearly defined and well articulated thesis statement. So that's why I'm going to use ciphers to give you feedback on your individual thesis statements. Again, feel free to ask me any questions that you might have about the feedback that I give you if you don't understand something. Another thing, have not only me read your paper, your rough draft, have others around you, have other peers, exchange emails with one another. That's why I created the Facebook page so that we can exchange information with each other and feel a little bit more comfortable, giving or emailing one of your classmates a paper to read. Also, use the RIT Center here at Delta College. I've gotten a few replies back from the RIT Center that said that you guys, a few of you have sent your papers online, which is a good thing, so keep that up. Remember, the more readers that you have read your paper, the more you'll be able to see how other people see what you're writing. So you'll be able to catch some of those silly mistakes that you make that you're used to seeing that you might not catch, but other writers will be able to see that. Other people will also be able to make sure that you have a clear sense of organization in your paper. So this may seem logically organized to you, but it may not be logically organized to the audience with whom you are communicating the paper. Another thing that you also want to keep in mind as far as organization is setting up outlines. In your reading last week, they gave you a really good example of an outline of how the argument essay is supposed to be. So basically, you have an introduction, you have your thesis statement, and you want to organize your supporting points, how those supporting points are going to individually support your main thesis statement. So one of the things that you can do is literally write out your introduction, write out your thesis statement, and then say to yourself, how am I going to support this? How am I going to use my information to support this? Organize that into just writing that chunk, and then move on to the next claim that you're going to use to support your main claim, and so on and so forth. So you want to have an organized method to writing this paper, and you want to make sure that your readers are clear of your organizational method. Again, visit the RIT Center, I'm sorry. Go to Ciphers and email me your rough drafts as soon as you can, and I will be working with you to give you feedback for your final paper. If you have any questions, please email me. A few of you, I've gotten your emails about specific questions that you have about your papers. Don't fret. I haven't forgotten about you, and I will be addressing the majority of those emails today. Again, good luck and happy writing.